Good morning. Good morning, boys and girls. Hi, how are you? Today is Tuesday, April 21st. I hope that you have had a good start to your week and that you have looked at all your materials to see what you're going to need to be doing this week. I wanted to tell you that I'm missing you dearly. Each day I think about you as I plan these lessons, and I thank you for those who join us on Fridays. I hope to see every face maybe this Friday. We've been having a good time just to see each other's face, to know what each other have been doing. I enjoyed seeing some new faces last week, and make sure that you can join us if you can at 11 on Friday. This morning, we start to talk about staying grounded. Gravity, remember when we learned about gravity, is a force that pulls two objects together. It's what keeps your foot and your feet pulled down to the ground. Gravity may not seem like a big deal until you think about life without it. It's the Earth's gravity that keeps you from floating off into space. And it's what makes an apple fall off a tree. Just ask Isaac Newton about that one. Gravity also affects how much you weigh because weight is a measurement of how much gravity pulls on an object. For example, you could weigh a tiny bit less at the equator than at the North Pole because gravity has a slightly stronger pull at the North Pole. But the gravity on other planets is very different. Mars has a lot less gravity. So if you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, you would only weigh 38 pounds there. But Jupiter's gravity has a much stronger pull. So on Jupiter, you would weigh 236 pounds. Just as we're physically grounded with gravity, are you grounded in your heart, in your mind? You know, even though gravity's been around a long time, do you know a man named Sir Isaac Newton first discovered it about 300 years ago? Legend says that Newton was sitting under an apple tree when an apple fell on his head. In reality, he probably just saw an apple fall and realized that some sort of invisible force made it fall. And he was the one that called it gravity. Are you grounded today? Something grounding you, making you feel like you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. I hope that you're getting up nicely and you are working for mom or dad or whoever's helping you to do your work. I hope that you're still being organized and that you're going to bed at a good time and that you are still getting some exercise and doing things that you like to do while still staying grounded. That's what our lesson's on today. Well, thank you for joining me for that. Today, we're going to start with our rigs. If you have your journal where you've been writing your words, go ahead and get that out. Yesterday, Monday, we learned 6 new words. So I am going to call those 6 words out now, and you write them and then check them with your journal, either yourself or you can have mom or dad or somebody check them for you. And then tonight for homework, you can write those words 3 times each. Now, don't forget, the rigs form cannot be turned in till after you get the words tomorrow on Wednesday. You have to have Monday's words and then write 3 sentences with 3 of those words. Then you get Tuesday 6 words and then write your 3 sentences and then get Wednesday's 6 words. And then when you have those sentences written, then you can press the form to turn in. Now, most of us have been doing it all correctly, but a couple of us have just been hitting the turn in button with no work attached, and it still gives you a 0 or missing if you don't have those turned in. Don't just go through all the assignments and put turn in, turn in, turn in, because if 1 or 2 of you are doing that and you're not attaching anything and you're getting no credit. So make sure that you're doing it right. Have mom or dad or someone help you if you have a question about that. Okay. All right. So by now you've had time to get your pencil and paper ready or your rigs journal. And let's write these 6 words that we learned yesterday. Okay. All right. Number 1, the word was Scrub. Scrub. If you need to press pause while I'm calling out the words, you can always do that, okay? Number 2, the word is duty. Duty. It is my duty to tell you the truth. Duty. Number 3, auto. Auto. Number 4 is the plural form of auto, autos. Autos. Number 4, that was 4, excuse me. Number 5, automobile. Automobile. And number 6 is hungry. Hungry. Okay, now that you have those 6 words, remember, check those yourself or have someone check, and then you write those that you missed 3 times each. If you want to grab your journal and write the next words in our list, okay? The first 4 words have a prefix that we have covered before. Do you remember what Miss Gaylord means by the word prefix? What's a prefix? Letters that you add onto a word to change its meaning. Now, if we add it to the beginning of a word, we call it a prefix. If we add it to the end of the word, we call it a suffix, okay? So both of these are letters that we add on, and we call those letters affixes. Okay, both prefixes and suffixes are called affixes, letters that we add on to a word to change its meaning. Now, you have helped me remember some of the prefixes over this year. Sometimes we write them on the board together. Can you remember some of the letters that can change a word's meaning that we've learned this year? Okay. All right. We've learned un, which means what? Not. Good. So does in and dis. Okay. They all 3 mean not. Okay. We've learned re, like redo, remove, reapply, which means what? Again. Okay. We've learned anti. I remember you telling me antibacterial soap or antibiotic. Anti means against. Okay. We've learned several. Today we're going to look at, we've learned the one pre. You go to preschool before you go to regular school. So pre means before. The one we're going to look at today is sub. Where have you heard the prefix sub? Subtract, okay? Subway, submarine. Those are some of the ones we're going to learn today on our list. Okay, so the prefix sub means what? Where does a submarine travel? This is a submarine. Okay, not a very good picture. It looks more like a fish, but this is a submarine. It travels under water. Good. Okay. Where does a subway travel? Okay, if this is a train that travels on a subway, it goes under the ground. So sub means what? Submarines travel under the water. A subway car travels under the ground. Sub means under. Very good. So we can add sub to our prefix list, and we know that sub means under. Under. Very good. Okay, so our word today starts with the prefix sub. The first word is a mathematical word, and it's subtract. Subtract. How many syllables in subtract? 2. Very good. Okay, subtract starts with a s. What are the sounds of S? S, z. It's the first one, so no markings. Uh, uh, uh. U. What are the sounds of U? U, First one, no markings. B, b, b. B, no markings. B makes one sound. Syllable dot. Good. T, 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 T. T has no markings. T makes one sound. R. R has no markings. R makes one sound. I. What are the sounds of A? A, aw. No marking. And T. No markings. T makes one sound. Subtract has no markings. Subtract. Word number 2 is subway. The subway is a set of trains that run under a railway system that runs under the ground level. So if you take the subway, if you've ever been to a big city like New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, you may ride the subway. Okay, the subway starts with a S. SS. Very good. Okay, just like subtract, it starts with a. First sound of U, U, and the b. Starts with sub, no markings. Now comes our syllable dot. Very good. Then W. No markings because W makes one sound. Good job. And then A, subway. A, 2-letter A. Very good. That we do use at the end of English words. English words can end in a Y. So this is a 2-letter A. It sounds like a subway. Subway. The next word on our list is submerge. Submerge has 2 syllables. Just like these 2 words, it starts with a sub. S-U-B. No markings because S makes the S, not the Z. U makes the first sound, and B has one sound. B, b, b. Sub, syllable dot. Submerge. To submerge something means to put it under, usually water. I'm going to submerge the sponge in the water. Put it under the water. Submerge. M. M has no markings. M makes one sound. The of her. Very good. It's a 2-letter sound, so we underline it. The of her. G. G makes 2 sounds. G, G. Okay, so this one also ends in an E. Okay, the job of the E is job number 3. So we hear the G, so we underline it. Job number 3, G. G, G. We don't put the 2 above the G. We underline it instead. G, submerge. Okay, very good. If you need to pause, you can do that. Okay, one more. What is the term of Miss Gaylor just said of a vessel or some kind of craft that goes under the water? If you worked on a ship, maybe it's for the military or something, and you're going to go on a blank, you'd be traveling under the water. What is it? Submarine. How many syllables in submarine? 3. Very good. Okay. So a subway is under the earth, like a road under the earth. But a submarine is, the word marine means water. So a submarine travels under the water. Okay. Very good. Okay. So 3 syllables, also starts with s, s, s. S has 2 sounds. S, z. First sound, no markings. Same prefix. Has 4 sounds. U, u. First sound, no markings. B, b, b. Only 1 sound, no markings. Syllable dot. M, m, m. M. M has 1 sound, no markings. A. Good. Is it the I, A, aw? No, it doesn't fit. What do we do? Thinking cap. Good. Think to spell. Put a thinking cap there. Another syllable dot. Reen. Reen. R. R. R has 1 sound, no markings. E. E. Is it an E? No, it's an I. What are the sounds of I? I, E. Ooh, so it should be number 3. Good. Put a 3 above the I. N, N, N. N has 1 sound, no markings. And then E. E is the underline twice. Job number 5. Okay. No job there. Very good. Okay. Submarine. Now you have your first 4 words that all begin with the prefix sub, and sub means what? Under. Read them with me. Subtract, subway, submerge, submarine. Now 2 of those are verbs. They're actions. Can you tell which ones? Subtract and submerge. Very good. The other 2 are nouns. Can you tell which ones? Subway and submarine. Perfect. Okay. The next 2 words do not have a prefix on them that is sub. It's another word, and it has how many syllables? Western. Western. 2. Good. It begins with a W. W makes 1 sound, no markings. E. What are the sounds of E? E. It's the first one. So no markings. Very good. S. What are the sounds of S? Z. First sound, no markings. T. T makes 1 sound, no markings. Syllable dot. Earn. The of her. Very good. 2-letter sound, so you underline it. N. N. N makes no markings. N has 1 sound. Okay, Western. Now, if you're looking at the word Western, what part of speech do you think Western is? Could be 2. Could be an adjective. It describes. We live on the western side of the world. Western. Or it could be like a Western. It could be a show that you watch that has maybe cowboys in it. It's called a Western. I'm going to watch a Western with my dad tonight. The next word, the last word, is also can be two parts of speech. It is the word tailor. Tailor. How many syllables is it in the word tailor? Two. Good. T. Now, this is not the name Taylor. You may know a tailor, a friend of yours, but that's not spelled this way. This is a person who sews clothes, a tailor. It's not the AY. Instead, it's an A, two-letter A that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with I. Tay, syllable dot. Tay with a two-letter A. L, L makes one sound. What is this one? Not earthier of her. Earthier of works. Very good. It's the OR, two-letter sounds. A tailor. A tailor is one who does what? Sews clothes. Okay, so a tailor can be a noun. The tailor made me a suit. Or you could use it as a verb. He tailored me a suit. That's an action. You can tailor something, like you can sew it, or you can be a tailor. A tailor. Okay, so if you need to pause, do that now, and let's look at these parts of speech. Okay. Let's look at our column. Go to your next page in your journal where you're putting your parts of speech. Do you see any nouns on our list today? Do you see any nouns? Okay, there's several that can be two. Okay, we said the last two can be two different parts of speech. Western can be a noun. I'm going to watch a Western tonight. Tailor can be a noun. I need the tailor to make me a suit. Okay, a submarine is a noun, and that would be a vessel that goes under what? Water. Good. A subway can be a noun, and that would be some sort of vessel that goes underground. Very good. And these are our nouns. Some of these can be two parts of speech. Do we see any words that can be verbs? Okay, we just said that which word can be a verb or a noun? Tailor. I need you to tailor me a suit. You could put tailor under verbs. Another verb, an action, is you could use submerge. We submerged the washcloth under the water. Submerge. Another verb can be subtract. It's an action you can do. I can subtract a number. Very good. Okay. And only one of those words are an adjective. Okay. Which word is an adjective? A Western. I live in the western part of the continent. Western. All right. Very good. Okay. So you have now gotten the new 6 words. Now you have 12 words, and you can be ready to put all 12 words on your Riggs document. Make sure you're writing the sentences 3 times each, and that you have tomorrow, once you get all of Wednesday's words, then you can turn that document in. All right. Let's go over our phonogram cards today and see if we can remember some of these sounds. We did a lot of sounds today, and let's start at the beginning, okay? All right, so we're going to go through them kind of quickly today, and the first one is the 4 sounds of A. What are they? A, aw. C, 2 sounds. K, S, D, 1 sound. D, F, 1 sound. F, G, 2 sounds. G, J. We use the J with submerge. O, 4 sounds. O, U, S, two sounds. S, Z. Q, U, one sound. Qu. B, one sound. E, two sounds. E, H, one sound. I, three sounds. I, E. We use the E form of I on submarine. Good. J, one sound. J, K, one sound. K, L, one sound. L, M, one sound. N, one sound. P, one sound. R, one sound. T, one sound. T, U, four sounds. U, U, Good. V, one sound. V, W, one sound. W, X, one sound. X, Y, four sounds. Ya, I, E. Good. Z, one sound. Z. All right. Now, we had some two-letter sounds we used today. Okay. This one. The of her. Very good. What word had the of her? Western. Good. And submerge. Nice job. The of early. The of works. Who had the of works today? Taylor. Good. The of nurse. The of first. Sh. Used at the beginning of a word, at the end of a syllable, but not at the beginning of most syllables after the first one, except for the ending ship. E always says E. F. A two-letter A that we do use at the end of English words. Okay. And do we have a word that follows this? Subway. Good. A two-letter A that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with I. What word followed this? Tailor. Good. Ow, cow and snow. Ow, ooh, Aw that we do use at the end of English words. Aw that we do not use at the end of English words. Ooh, you that we do use at the end of English words. Ooh, you that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with you. Oi that we do use at the end of English words. Oi that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with I. Ooh, oh. Good. Ch, k, sh, ch, k, sh. Ng. A. Good. R, k, two-letter k, used after a single vowel that says a, I, Ed, t, past tense ending, or hua, I, that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? English words do not end with I. The O of boat. A-E that we do use at the end of English words. A-E that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with I. A four-letter A, I three-letter I. E-I, our backwards phonogram. We say E-I, but we write I-E unless it's after a C. Good job. Two-letter used at the beginning of a base word. Two-letter two-letter f. Two-letter used both at the beginning and end of a base word. J, three-letter J, used after a single vowel that says a, the O of toe. Ch, three-letter ch, used after a single vowel that says a, Sh, short letter sh, used at the beginning of any syllable after the first one. Sh, tall letter sh, used at the beginning of any syllable after the first one. Sh, z, used at the beginning of any syllable after the first one. And O, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow. One more time. O, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow. Very good. Very good. You have completed your first part of the lesson today, and that would be your Riggs lesson. Today, let's see if I can find it. Today, for your treat of the day, Miss Gaylord has you a tree, and she will hang a monkey each time you do a good job. Here's your first monkey today. Good job. Very good. If you need to press pause on the video to gather your materials, you can do that, okay? The next thing we'll be covering today will be math. If you have printed out your math sheets today, we are on page 274. 274. All right, so as a review today, let's look at some of our shapes that we have been learning over the past few weeks. Now, let me tell you that on the Google Classroom, there are several things to do. There's homework for each night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Do not do that ahead. Do that each night. I can see some of you have, try to work ahead and do things before I cover them in the lessons. That would not be the smart thing to do because I cover them in the lessons. And then there's also something called math material. It's on identifying shapes and angles. When it says a material, there's nothing to turn in. Okay? It's just a material to use, to look at. If it says assignment, then there's a turn in button. So some of you thought, well, there's nothing I can turn in. It's because it was a material. So after the math lessons this week, there's a material at the bottom of the classroom, and it says material for identifying angles and shapes. Then there's also a form, an assignment. It'll say worksheet for identifying angles and shapes. You have to look at the material, and then you have to put the answer on the Google form. So that's a little different this week, okay? You have to, there was no way for me to transfer your answers except to put it on a Google form. So I had to look at the material, and then you can answer. And don't forget to think twice before you answer, because they're not letting you resubmit these forms. It's a one-time shot. So whatever you make the first time, 30, 40, 50, it sticks, okay? So make sure that you are slowing down and not trying to turn in everything quickly, because some of you aren't attaching the things anyway, okay? Now let's look at these, okay? Let's talk about, first of all, our four-sided shapes. What are all four straight-sided shapes called? All of these would be called what? A quadrilateral. Four sides, they're all shaped. They're all shaped differently, but they all have straight sides. Now, Miss Gaylord told you the word that word means. If it's a straight-sided figure, do you remember the term? Starts with a P. What's a straight-sided figure? You may see this on some of the quizzes this week. It's called a polygon. A polygon. Okay, so would a circle be a polygon? No. Could a triangle be a polygon? Yes, it's a three-sided shape. Okay, could this square be a polygon? Yes. Okay, do you remember how I showed you the angles? Where are the angles on this square? Okay, they're right here where the two lines come together. See where this comes together? This would be the angle here. This would be the angle. This is an angle. This one, and it has four angles. You can see how I've drawn them on there. And then the place where they come together, see where I've made it black? That's called the what? The vertex, or if you make it plural, you call them the vertices. So if you see those words, okay, four vertices, and then these are what we call angles, okay? Very good. All right, so we talked about straight-sided figures, and these are called, if they have four sides, they're called a quadrilateral. Would this be a quadrilateral? Yes, it has four sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you remember the name of this quadrilateral? The trapezoid. It has two sides, see, top and bottom, that are parallel, and then two sides that are not parallel. They'll eventually go together. This is called a trapezoid. Okay, very good. This also is a quadrilateral. It's got four sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one happens to be called a rhombus. A rhombus, you have the two sides parallel and then two other sides that are parallel. Okay. What is this polygon called? It has 6 sides. We call it a hexagon. Very good. It has 6 sides. Let's see if we can count the number of angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've made little black dots there for you to see. See the angles? A 6-sided figure here. This one's called the hexagon. Nice job. Okay, so what kind of figure is this? A quadrilateral and a rhombus. Very good. A rhombus, okay? All right, so let's look and see. Here we go. All right, so this kind of figure is a quadrilateral. It has 4 sides, and it's called a rectangle, where 2 sides are not the same length as the other 2 sides, but they are what we call parallel. A rectangle, okay? This is called a square and a quadrilateral and a polygon. Good job. Very good. Okay. You will see some of those this week on some of your quizzes and homeworks. Okay. So we talked about last week and yesterday about taking a shape and dividing it up. Okay. Let's take this rectangle and divide it into 2 parts. What do we call those 2 parts? Halves. Very good. Okay. There's several ways I could divide this. I could divide it this way into halves. I could also divide it across this way into halves. And the other way would be to make 2 triangles. Can you see that? Halves. Good job. And then we talked about taking that same shape, and can you divide that into what we call thirds? Okay. 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. This would make 1 whole. Okay, if I had 2 out of the 3 parts, we call that 2/3. How do I write that as a fraction? The word fraction means part of a whole. How would I write that? I would put what on top? The 2, and what on the bottom? The 3. What if I only have 1 part out of the rectangle? If I have 1 part, how do I write that? 1/3. 1/3. 1 out of 3. What if I have all 3 parts? 1, 2, 3. I have all 3 out of how many? 3. We could say 3/3, or that also equals 1 whole. Okay. And those are what we call fractional parts. Now, yesterday we talked about cutting cakes, and here we are again on page 274. It says you can solve the problem on a separate sheet of paper. I just attached the material for you to look at. If you want to print it out, that's fine. Luna's friends make cakes in all shapes and sizes. Remember yesterday they made a circle cake, a rectangle cake, and a square cake. Luna helps them plan ways to cut the cakes into pieces of different sizes. Here is one plan. My cake cutting plan. Draw squares at the top of the cake to show how to cut it into pieces. Each square must be the same size. Okay, so Luna's got a square cake. Let me find my square. Let's see. Let's use this as my cake, okay? Luna's got a square cake, and she wants to measure each side is going to be 6 inches long. I'm not sure how long this is. We may have to make another one. Let's measure. In a square, all sides are the same, okay? This one is 4. This is a 4-inch square. So it would be 4 this way, 4 inches this way, 4 inches this way, and 4 inches this way, okay? So this one is too small. I'm going to make one on this board. I'm going to make a 6-inch side for my cake. And you can do this on paper if you'd like to. I'm going to take my ruler, if you have one, and I'm going to draw this quadrilateral, okay? And so I'm going to draw each side, so it's how many inches? 6. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to start at the 0 on my ruler, and I'm going to, if you can see, but I'm going to go down to 6 inches, okay? Here is 6 inches. So if this is one side, I need to do the same thing across the top and the bottom to make it a 6-inch square. Now, it would not be a square if each side was not the same. I just did that across the top and the bottom, and I need to now do it across the side, do it down the side here, okay? And so this is my cake, and it is 6 inches. Each side is 6 inches. Do you agree with that? Okay, now I want to cut my square into 4 pieces. How can I know how big a piece is to give each person? I don't want to just eyeball it and just guess. I want to try to make the pieces the same. What can I do to figure that out? Okay. All right. So first of all, I need to see how many inches it is. Okay, so this side, it is 6 inches down across each way. 6 inches here, 6 here, 6 here, and 6 here. If I want to make 4 pieces, okay, I'm probably going to cut a T into the cake to make it equal. That'd be the easiest way. How do I know where to draw the line to cut? I would take half of 6. How much is half of 6? What can I add twice to get 6? Or if some of you have already learned your multiplication tables, what can I multiply by 2 to get 6? What is half of 6? Okay, let's look at our ruler. This is 6 inches. What is right in the middle? 3, right? 3 and 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over 3 inches and I'm going to draw a line, okay? And if I was doing it with a ruler, I could show you 3 inches and I'm going to draw a line, and that's where my first line will be. Okay, I'm going to go down, top to bottom, okay? And now that should be, I now divided my cake into halves, okay? Now I have divided my cake into halves. Now I need to divide it into how many parts did I say? 4. So now I would do the same thing. I would look at this. This is 6 inches here. What's half of 6? 3. Okay, so I'm going to go down to the 3 inches and I'm going to make a line here. Okay, that's at 3 inches. I'm going to take that line and I'm going to go all the way across. Okay. Very good. So this is what my cake is going to look like. If I divide it, these pieces should be equal if I did it right. Now I'm holding it up, so it's not as easy if I had it flat, but these 4 pieces should be equal. This is my cake that's a square. So on page 275, it says, use the diagram of Luna's square cake on the cake cutting activity sheet. Divide the square into the same size, smaller squares. Then write the length of the sides on your squares. So if the whole part was 6, what could I write for this part? This would be 3 inches, and this would be another 3 inches. And I can prove that because 3 plus 3 equals what? 6, okay? So this is, and I know that I've divided it correctly. Very good. Okay, so could I do the same thing if I had a circular cake, a circle cake? I could divide it into 4 parts, but it would not be the same as the square cake, okay? I could divide it into 4 parts, but I would have to look at a different shape. Could I do the same thing with my rectangular cake? What if I had a rectangle cake that was, well, it depends on the size of the cake. Let's say the top of the cake, just like the square, was at 6 inches. I'm going to draw 6 inches on the top and 6 inches on the bottom. Okay, that's 6 inches. Now, in a rectangle, I can't draw a 6 inches down because that would be a square. So let's say that I drew 4 inches down, okay? I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw 4 inches down, okay? And then on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw 4 inches down, okay? Now, this should be how many inches? 6, because the top was 6 inches. These are what we call parallel, okay? They are parallel because the lines don't touch. This would be a rectangle. This is a 4-inch by 6-inch rectangle. Now, how can I make these how could I divide this also into 4 pieces that are equal? Okay. Well, I could measure this going across. How much is this? The top would be 6 inches. What's half of 6? 3. Okay, so I would take my ruler and I would measure at 3. Okay, and I would go down and that would be 3 inches. Okay, now that's dividing it in half. But this is now going down. This is 4 inches this time, not 6. So what's half of 4? 2. So this time I measure down 2 inches to see where the half would be. And then I draw my line this way. And so when I get finished, these pieces should be equal as well. Now, these are different sizes than these pieces, but this shows you that you could do the same with a rectangle. And each of these pieces would be 3 inches across and 2 inches down because you had you have smaller pieces there. So that's a way to show you how to divide objects. Each of these cakes divided into how many pieces? 4. So what do we call when you have 1 out of 4? What do we call that? We call that 1/4. Let's say I shaded this. 1 out of 4 is 1/4. What if I shade 2 out of 4? We call it 2 out of 4, 2/4, or we could say I have a whole half, 1/2. If I have 3 out of 4, what do we say? We say 3/4. And if I have all 4 pieces shaded out of 4, we say I have 4/4 or 1 whole. And those are what we call fractions. Fractions are part of a whole. Good job. I hope that you are working on those at home. I hope you have understood all the parts that I've given you onto the classroom. If you haven't, let's make sure that you email me or ask any questions that you need to, okay? All right. Are you working with your money and time to review? Each person needs to be doing that daily as well, okay? Make sure that you have, if you haven't had time yet, have somebody draw out some clocks. If you don't have a clock like this, you can have somebody draw out the clocks and ask them, what time is it? Okay, on this one, you look at your shorthand. The shorthand is between what two numbers? The 1 and the 2. So is this 1 something or 8 or 7 something? 1. Very good. It's between the 1 and the 2. The longhand is 2 minutes after the 7. What time is that? 1:37. How do I know that? I know that the 7 means 35. Okay, and so I'm able to get that. What if I take this time and look at this one today? One more. What time is it? I look at the shorthand and see it's between the 4 and the 5. So it has to be what time? 4. And I look at the longhand and it's 3 minutes past the 9. If it was on the 9, it would be 4:45, but it's 3 minutes past. So we count up 4:46, 4:47, 4:48. Very good. Okay. So you continue to review your time and money. Okay. Now, you'll also see some of these shapes that we talked about into figures. They're called tangrams. You may see some pictures of shapes, and you can make things from these shapes, and that may be in your work this week as well. We call those tangrams. If you need to take a pause, you can do that. Press pause on the tape. You have now got your second monkey for the tree. And you have 2 monkeys today. Good job. Keep working hard. Okay. If you have not located your reading, if you can do that now, if you've printed out your reading sheets, that's awesome. Today we're going to be on 368. There is a reading document for you to write your answers. When I loaded the material, again, it was reading material. You cannot type on the material. That is for you to read, look at, or you can print out and look at, but you can't write on it. So there's another document for you in reading this week for you to fill out. It's a Google form, and that will be easier than you trying to upload all your stuff to me. If you can just fill out the form, okay? But fill it out at the end of the week once you've read all the lessons with us. Today, we're going to look at what we started yesterday, okay? We're reviewing a little bit on the compare and the contrast, okay? What is the name of the diagram that we have been using to compare and contrast? It's called a Venn diagram. Good job, okay? When you make a Venn diagram, do you know you can use a Venn diagram in any subject that you choose? We're happening to use this one today in reading. In a Venn diagram, you have parts that overlap. What do we call this part in the center? The compare part. What do we call these parts? Contrast. Okay, good job. Today we're going to read 2 fables. These are my favorite. Do you know who wrote the fables? Okay, Miss Gaylord has read you some of his fables before. Aesop, okay? Now, he lived a long time ago, and we don't know his last name, or maybe that is his last name. He goes by Aesop, and sometimes people take his writings and change it a little bit, and that'll be called when you adapt, okay, something. But right now, we're going to look at 2 fables, both written by the same person, The Turtle and the Rabbit and The Fox and the Snail. Can you already look at those and compare something that's maybe the same or different? I can already just by looking at the title. If you have not read these fables yet, press pause on your video and please go ahead and read those, okay? Okay. Now, let's look at the stories, okay? The first one, The Turtle and the Rabbit. No one in all the forest is faster than I am, Rabbit boasted to the other animals one day. And I can prove it. Who wants to race me? Do you know we talked about this word boast the other day in Charlotte's Web? What does the word boast mean? To brag, to think too highly of yourself. And who's doing the boasting? The rabbit. Now, are rabbits known for being very fast? They are. Yes, they are. He says, no one is faster than I am, and I can prove it. None of the animals accepted Rabbit's challenge, except for the turtle. I will race you, he said, rather slowly. Now, are turtles known for being very fast? No. Turtles are known for being very slow, right? You, the rabbit said, what a joke. I'll be at the finish line before you even get started, he says. And soon as the race began, Rabbit hopped away at great speed. After a while, he was so far ahead that he decided to take a nap. Turtle, on the other hand, did not stop for 1 minute. He just kept going and going and going. That's an example of what? Repetition, right? We say a word, so you'll hear it several times. When Rabbit finally woke up from his nap, he saw Turtle nearing the finish line, and Rabbit ran as fast as he could. But Turtle won. Steady wins the race, Turtle said rather slowly, as always. A fable often has a meaning at the end. It often has what we call a moral meaning, like something you should do in life. What was the meaning of this fable? Turtle says it in the last sentence. Slow and steady wins the race. Is that something that you can apply to you? And me. If you keep at something, eventually you are going to finish it. Okay, so this is the first fable that we read of Aesop. Now, did you underline sentences in the story? It says underline sentences in the story that tells how one animal is able to win the race. How is Turtle able to win the race? Go through your text if you printed it out and help me, or either say it out loud. How could Turtle win that race when the rabbit was so much faster? What did you underline? He did not stop for 1 minute. He kept going. You might have underlined and going and going. Look at the next story, The Fox and the Snail. Fox asked Snail to run a race with him to the next town. Fox took off running, but then he decided he would take a nap. When Snail saw the sleeping fox, he climbed into his bushy tail. When Fox woke up, he ran to the town's gate, and he turned and he called, Snail, Snail, where are you? Snail quietly dropped out of the fox's tail. I'm already here, said the snail from behind him. What took you so long? Can you tell from that part of the fable, that story, The Fox and the Snail, what did you underline that tells how did the animal win the race? Who won the race there? The snail, right? How did he win the race? What did you underline? He climbed into his bushy tail. Very good. Okay. Let's talk about some things there with those two fables, okay? Now, if you had to think about the meaning of the second one, is there a meaning as important like there was in the turtle and the rabbit? Okay. There could be several meanings. Planning ahead could be one meaning. If you plan ahead, you may be able to win the race. Okay. Another thing about the two I want to talk about here is What are the main characters of both stories doing? Okay, they're having a race. They're running a race. So we want to put that in the compare side or the contrast side. We want to put that in both the compare side. So we can put race on our Venn diagram. Now, some of you've printed out the forms from the book. You can just write it on the form. If you have not, you can get a sheet of paper and write this, but you're going to need this to put in your notes when you complete the Google form at the end of the week. Make sure you're writing these notes down because you will forget. There's lots of stories, okay? Now, so that's one of the things that were in common. They both were in a race. Now, in both of the stories, one animal stops running. Who is it? The rabbit in the first story and the fox in the second. So could we put that under? Yes, okay. We could put that in our both column. I'm going to have to write small. You can write bigger on yours. But an animal stops during the race. Okay. In both stories, they have an ending that surprised me. Do you know what it is? In both stories, who wins the race? The slower animal wins. I'm just going to kind of write here very small. You can make yours a little bit bigger. The slower animal wins. In both stories, who wrote them? Is that something we can put on the both column? Yes, we can put they were both written. I'm going to put his name at the top by Aesop. In both stories, who wanted to race to begin with? The faster animal, right? And the faster animal was the one doing the boasting. The boasting, okay? Now let's look at this one, okay? In the turtle and the rabbit, let's look at some things that were different. This is the contrast side than the fox and the snail. What are some things that are different in the turtle and the rabbit? Okay. Well, first of all, the characters are different, right? There's a turtle and there's a rabbit in this one. And then in the other one, there's a fox and there's a snail. So those are different. They're different characters. Okay. In one of the stories, one animal continues to do his best. Only one out of those three animals work hard to do their best. Which one was it? The turtle. Okay, so we could put that under this one. The turtle works hard to do his best. That's on the contrast side. Okay. In the fox and the snail, does the snail work hard to do his best? No. The snail does what? The snail climbs into the fox's tail. So really, the snail kind of cheated, right? The snail catches a ride by climbing in to the tail of the fox. So that's a difference that we could also put in the contrast. Now, you may have many more. I hope that you've thought of something different. Mine is kind of filled up, but I would love for you to write even more than what you found. In both stories, there's two main characters. That could be a compare. In both stories, the characters are where? What's the setting? Okay, they're outside. Very good. In one of those stories, the character is bragging. Which one? Yes, the rabbit in the turtle and the rabbit. There's one character that's bragging. That could be a difference. You could put that here under the contrast. Okay. You can use key details from your text to identify how these characters are similar in the compare part and how they're different in the contrast part. We use some key details from the story that helped us find out our information. Now that we've answered how the rabbit and the fox are alike and different, this was the story. So can we take that information and write in our short response some of this information? It says, the slower animal wins in both races. Tell what each one does to win. Okay, and that's on page 374. If you're keeping track and printing out your documents, that's on 374. You can write the short response. The slower animal wins both races. Tell what each one does to win. Use some of your details from the story that tells what each animal did to win. How can we start this paragraph in a complete sentence that's a topic sentence, a good sentence that introduces the paragraph? You always need a topic sentence. You see how Miss Gaylord indented here? She put a space right here and she put the slower animal wins in both races. And then what should I tell next? You see, I've now given a good topic sentence. Then I need to tell what the animal was, okay? The first animal we read about was the turtle. The turtle won because what did he do? Because he kept working hard, right? And then you would need to name the second animal that won the race. And I'd put that in a separate sentence. In the second story, who won the race? The snail won the race. And tell in the story how that animal won the race, okay? Very good. Don't forget, by the end of the week, to complete the document that goes with the reading stories. And you can do the rest of this on paper. I know some of you have been submitting me things that you've written on paper, and that's great. I see that you're trying hard and that you are doing your best, okay? Very good. And you get the third monkey for your tree. Now you have 1, 2, let's give it a little red one, and 3. If you have any questions, I'm going to look now at the science assignment for the week. Okay. So in science, Miss Gaylord asked you to watch a video yesterday on adaptations. Do you remember what we talked about? These words were, we've been talking about the desert biome, a place to live in the desert. And then we learned the word adapt and adaptations. The word adapt means what? Okay, to keep on surviving, right? And adaptation is something that an animal or plant has to help it keep on surviving. So I ask you to watch the video and I ask you to pick either a desert animal or a desert plant, and I need you to research it. Now you're going to be able to use your computer. And I gave you a form on how to complete the research. It says first you have to name your desert plant or your desert animal. Where the plant is found, you would type a sentence. What adaptations does the plant or animal have for desert survival? Okay, for example, the camel, okay? The camel has, we talked about in that one of the videos we watched about what is on the camel that helps it survive. Then you can write, how do people or animals use this plant or animal? Okay, what does it do for us? Something interesting I learned about it. If you chose an animal, what does it eat? How does it get its food? What adaptations has it been given to survive in the outdoors? And if you chose the animal, what's its baby called? What are its enemies? 3 interesting things that I learned about this animal. Is it nocturnal? That means does it move around at night, or is it during the day? Diurnal? How does it survive? Those kind of things. Tell me something, and then you type that into a document, and then you turn it in to Miss Gaylord. Okay, so it can be on a Google document, it can be on a Microsoft Word document. However you want to type that and turn it in, that's fine. If you can attach a picture, I'll give you even better grade on that. If you can attach something that you drew, and then you could hit the submit button. You have all 3 days to work on this. You had yesterday, you watched the video, so you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to come up with a paper to turn in for science, and that's going to be your science grade for the week. Okay, very good. All right, so you have now gotten your 4th monkey, and we're ready for the last one. For our ELA today, we're going to look at Charlotte's Web. If you have your own copy, find it, press pause if you need to on the video. If you are looking at the PDF, you might want to get that out. Really, you can be flipping to page 86. Now, the last time we read, a lot had happened. It was a miracle, they said in the barnyard. What was the miracle? A web said some pig. In the middle of the barnyard at the corner there was a spider's web that had the word some pig. Mr. Zuckerman had found out from Lurvy. He told Mrs. Zuckerman, and they went to the minister of the church and told him, and the next thing you know, the whole county is coming to see what was going on at the Zuckerman farm. Secrets are hard to keep, and they didn't keep it, and so they started to come. They brought the cars from all over the county. Their driveway was filled. Mr. Zuckerman had so many people, his work could not get done. Lurvy's work could not get done. They were talking and entertaining, and Mrs. Zuckerman didn't get to put up the food that she needed to. The jobs that Lurvy needed to do were not getting done. And all they were looking at was Wilbur. And the barn became too crowded. And Fern found that too many people were around. She could not see the animal. She liked it much better when she had been alone with all of her friends. We're on chapter 12 today, a meeting. One evening, a few days after the writing had appeared in Charlotte's Web, the spider called a meeting of all the animals in the barn cellar. I shall begin by calling the roll. Okay. Wilbur, said Charlotte. Here, said the pig. Gander. Who's the gander? The boy goose, remember, the male. Here, 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 said the gander. That's an example of what? Repetition. You sound like 3 ganders, muttered Charlotte. Why can't you just say one here? Why do you have to repeat everything? It's my idiosyncrasy, said the gander. Why do you have to repeat everything? Goose, said Charlotte. Here, 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 said the goose. And Charlotte glared at her. Again, she said 3 times, here, here, here. Goslings 1 through 7. And they said, B, 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 said one. B, 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 said the goslings. Well, this is getting to be quite a meeting, said Charlotte. Anyone would think that we had 3 ganders, 3 geese, and 21 goslings. Sheep, she said. Hee-haw. They all answered together. Lambs? Hee-haw. And they all answered together. Templeton? Who's Templeton? The rat. No answer. Templeton, Charlotte called out. No answer. Well, she said, we're all here except the rat. I guess we can proceed without him. Can you tell what the word proceed means? To go on. Now, all of you have noticed what's been going on around here for the last few days. The message that I wrote in my web, praising Wilbur, has been received. Now, does anybody remember why Charlotte wrote that message to begin with? She's trying to save him from being killed, remember? She said, the Zuckermans have now fallen for it, and so has everybody else. Zuckerman thinks that Wilbur is an unusual pig, and therefore he won't want to kill him and eat him. I dare say that my trick will work, and Wilbur's life can be saved. Hooray! Called out everybody. Thank you very much, said Charlotte. Now, I called this meeting in order to get some suggestions. I need new ideas for the web. What do you think Charlotte's planning? To write something new besides some pig, maybe? Charlotte says people are already getting sick of reading the word some pig. If anyone can think of another message or remark, I'll be glad to weave it into the web. Any suggestions for a new slogan, she said. The word slogan, what do you think that means? Okay, a slogan would be a word or phrase that you hear to remember something. How about Pig Supreme, said one of the lambs. No good, said Charlotte. It sounds like a rich dessert. Well, how about terrific, 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 asked the goose. Charlotte said, you cut that down to one terrific, and it will do very nicely, said Charlotte. I think terrific might just impress Zuckerman. But Charlotte, said Wilbur, I'm not terrific. Well, that doesn't make a particle of difference, replied Charlotte. Not a particle. It means not a bit. People believe almost anything that they see in print. Does anyone here, said Charlotte, know how to spell the word terrific? I think, said the gander, that it's T-double-E-double-R, double-R, double-I, double-F, double-I, double C-C-C-C-C-C-C. Well, what kind of acrobat do you think I am, said Charlotte. Okay, what did she mean by that? Acrobat. She'd have to be able to weave throughout the web, being very acrobatic, right? Sorry, said the gander. And then the oldest sheep spoke up. I agree. There should be something new written in the web if Wilbur's life is to be saved. And if Charlotte needs help finding the words, I think the sheep said that she can get it from our friend old Templeton. The rat visits the dump regularly, and he has access to old magazines. Do you know what the word access means here? He's got the way to get it. And what do we put in a dump, by the way? Okay, old things that we get rid of. Templeton goes to the dump, said the sheep, regularly. He's got some access to old magazines. He can tear out bits of advertisements, and he can bring them up here to the barn cellar so that Charlotte can have something to copy. Good idea, said Charlotte. But I'm not sure that Templeton will be willing to help. You know how he is. He's always looking out for himself, never thinking of the other fellow. I bet I can get him to help, said the old sheep. I will appeal to his baser instincts, of which he has plenty. Now, if you were to look at the Templeton, what would you say that mattered the most to Templeton? From this story that we've read, what has been important to Templeton? Food, right? That's why he goes to the dump. Food. So when the sheep says, I think I can get him to do something, I can appeal, or I can talk to him about his food. That's his baser instinct. Everybody keep quiet, said the sheep, while I put the matter up to him. And the rat entered the barn the way that he always did, creeping close to the wall. What's up? He asked, seeing the animals assembled. That means they're all together. Well, we're holding a director's meeting, replied the old sheep. Well, break it up, said Templeton. Meetings bore me. And the rat began to climb a rope that hung against the wall. Well, look, said the old sheep, the next time you go to the dump, Templeton, bring back a clipping from a magazine. And Charlotte needs new ideas that she can write in her web, and she can save Wilbur's life. Let him die, said the rat. Templeton, I should worry. In other words, I'm not worried. You'll worry all right, said the sheep, when next winter comes. You'll worry all right when it's a 0-degree morning next January and Wilbur's dead and nobody comes down here with a nice pail of warm slops to put into your trough. You'll worry, said the sheep. Wilbur's leftover food is your chief source of supply to eat. Templeton, and you know that, said the sheep. Wilbur's food is your food. Therefore, Wilbur's destiny, in other words, what happens to Wilbur, is your destiny. They are closely linked. If Wilbur is killed and his trough, that's his feeding area, stands empty, day after day, said the sheep, you will grow so thin that we can look right through you, through your stomach, and we can see objects on the other side, said the sheep. And Templeton's whiskers quivered. What was the sheep doing there? Trying to convince Templeton to help, right? Well, maybe you're right, said Templeton gruffly. I'm making a trip to the dump tomorrow afternoon. I'll bring back a magazine clipping if I find one. Thanks, said Charlotte. The meeting is now adjourned, which means what? Over. Over. I have a busy evening ahead of me, said Charlotte. I've got to tear my web apart and I've got to write a new word. Terrific. Wilbur blushed. But I'm not terrific, Charlotte. I'm just about average for a pig. You are terrific as far as I'm concerned, replied Charlotte sweetly. And that is what counts. You are my best friend, said Charlotte. And I think that you are sensational, which means great. Now stop arguing, said Charlotte, and Wilbur, go get some sleep. What is the new plan to continue to save Wilbur's life? Charlotte is going to write a second word in the web. Did you catch what the second word is? Terrific. What was the first thing she wrote in the web? Some pig. And now, tonight in the book, she says she's going to write terrific. How did they get Templeton's help? In the end, how did they end up getting Templeton's help? What animal convinced Templeton to help Wilbur? The old sheep. And how did she do it? She said, Templeton, next winter when Wilbur's gone and dead, there will be no food, no slops coming down to the trough, and you will be sorry. Do you think Templeton is going to end up helping Wilbur maybe in the end? We'll see. We'll see. Okay. If you want to read ahead, look at your PDF. You can read, or if you have the book handy, if you have it, we'll be on chapter 13 next, guys. We're halfway through already with the book. We'll be doing some other things. Now, there is a quiz on Google Classroom. It says chapters 10 through 12. Now you are ready to take it. So after today, you can now take that quiz. Don't forget, it grades it automatically. And so you get what you get, okay? You get what you get. So before you press the turn in button, make sure that you have thoroughly either looked back for the answers or listened for the answers, or you have found the answers, okay? Very good. All right, so you will now get the last monkey for the day. What is the adaptation of this monkey to be able to survive if you have a monkey? Okay. The monkey has two arms, two legs that it can climb around. It can get up into high trees. It can also swing with its tail. That's an adaptation that animal has. Okay. Think about when you choose your science choice for a plant or animal adaptation, that you really consider some things and really take time to look up. You can use science this time to look up the answers and to take time to do some research. We don't always have time for that, but right now, this is a good time. Are you remembering to do all of your other classes? Are you logging into music and art and PE and Spanish and Miss Negley's math? I hope that you're checking those as well. Quick reminder, about 3/4 of you are doing the iReady lessons. You were supposed to put in 80 minutes a week. That's 20 minutes a day on math, 20 on reading. And I can tell that you are doing those. You're not getting the zeros, but about 1/4 of you are not doing that, you've not logged in, don't forget to log in every day and do a little bit per day, okay? Some of you have been doing a great job. Shout out to Elise and some of the other ones who've really been putting some good work in that, okay? All right, guys. This is going to wrap up our lesson for today. I love you. I miss you. And I hope that I can see your face on Friday and that you are doing all of your work. Thank you for being a good worker at home. Okay. Remember all the things we've learned today. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. See you tomorrow.